Hey, g'day and welcome to another tutorial on surviving Mars. And this one we're actually just going to cover the robotics and all of the potential researches that you can actually do in the robotics skill tree itself, the Robotics Research Tree. Don't forget to hit the likes and hit the subscribes if you'd like to see more of Surviving Mars or any other episodes that I do. But let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first thing, just to remind everyone, if they're watching this one for the first one, is the research texts are randomized. So even though they're in this order here that I'll explain, you will actually find that they could be anywhere along the skill tree. The only thing is the wonders and the high ends will always be at the end of your research tree. So we've got a couple of wonders there and we will look at those. But let's start at the first one that in the order that I received them for this game, but they will appear somewhere within your actual research tree. So the first one is low G drive. Drones and rovers move 25% faster, fairly self-explanatory, and obviously does help you when you're in that medium end or even early game when you just want those drones to get there quicker to move the around. Now this is not your shuttles. There is a separate one a little bit later on that will move your shuttles faster. This is just your drones and your rovers. Drone hubs are constructed with 2 additional drones to a maximum number of drones is increased by 80. So they start off, your drone hubs start with 20. So what that will actually mean is your drone hubs will then now have a capacity for 100 drones. Now that seems ridiculous, but honestly, when you start getting into mega and large domes, remembering that every single piece of these equipment all needs maintenance. And already having 49 drones or 50, it's still working at medium capacity. And I've still got 2 more domes to build that are bigger than that one, and that's the so it definitely is definitely beneficial. Once again, you start with 20, so to increase it by 80 is insane. Next one, we've got Explorer AI. Generate 100 per soul for each Explorer vehicle. Now I still only have 1 Explorer. I did research this one. Maybe it's worth just having a couple of Explorers there so you can just generate the soul and then just park the Explorers. But as it says there, multiple vehicles also result in a collaboration losses. So I assume you cannot just go make yourself 1,000 Explorers, park them on electricity, and just get the souls. But you would actually get a reduction. I haven't tested it to see what the reduction is. I'd say 5 to 10% would probably be a realistic reduction for each Explorer. Transport optimization. Your RC transport harvests resource faster and it can store an extra 15%. So I only have 1 transport, but I do find it very handy, certainly for emergency travel. So even with your shuttle hubs, they bring sort of 3 or 6 blocks if you upgrade them. But obviously if you want to bulk some supplies over, these transports are excellent for that and the increase. Drone hubs. The new building controls drones and allocates them to different jobs. Okay, so this takes away from actually having to get fabricated drone hubs from Earth and allows you to build them. So definitely, if you get this early in the game, very, very handy instead of you buying them from Earth. Your machining, obviously your machine parts factory. So outside of your polymers, which is potentially the first one you would buy. This was probably the second building that I was personally building in order to start becoming self-sufficient in my materials. Keep in mind this does use electronics to maintain. So if you are using your machine parts factory, you'll just need to make sure that you're bringing electronics in plentiful supplies from Earth or you have enough rare resources that you can then move on to build your electronics workshop. Moving along, next one we have is battery optimization. So your battery capacity is increased by 50%, which is super handy. But at the end of the day, all it does is extend. Once you get into a cycle of not doubling, but increasing by 50%, you still need to obviously service those drones. So make sure that if you have increased your drone capacity because of grabbing this one, that you have enough of these little servicing stations. Isn't this a poor example? I don't have any on this base. It was actually a new base, but we'll jump over here so it's less embarrassing. So you have enough of these servicing stations, there we go, planted around to make sure that the drones aren't always going back to their drone hub just to get serviced. So just have a few of those planted around, and those are actually found, if you're not using them yet, they're actually found just at the infrastructure side, and you've got just your drone recharge station there. They do or they don't. They don't need maintenance, they just need power. Okay, so very handy. Next thing we actually have, we did the battery optimization. We did the RC rover, no longer needs recharging and starts with 4 additional drones to a commanding limit increased by 12. This is a good one, especially if you start having your transporter or your explorer out there and they run out of battery power. If they run out, you can send the RC rover out there to do the repairs, but having your RC rover not have to ever be recharged is a very handy research to do. My only question is, if I can put the technology in the RC rover, why can't I put the technology in the explorer and the transport? But that skill is not there. Drone assemblers, drone prefabs from electronics that can be used to construct new drones. Now this is handy, but it's at the detriment of your electronics. So what I'm saying with that, and let's jump back over to this one where I've got it, is I can pre-order, and I can order the drones that will be in queue, but it will take electronics. So it wasn't until maybe late game I got to a level of self-sufficiency on my electronics. So the question is do you use the funding to get your drones prefabbed over? Because the drones are actually reasonably cheap from Earth. As a cargo rocket, you can get drones at 30 million. Obviously, as a space elevator, I can get my drones. I cannot get drones through a space elevator. There you go. But at 30 million for the rockets itself. Remembering the electronics to actually get from the space elevator is 50 million, but it's for 5 electronics. So just have a think, because I know in early game for myself, electronics was probably one of the components I was hurting the most. The thing that really hurt me, I know I've sort of diverted a little bit, is you lose your electronics and your drone hub goes down, your base goes down. And you really need some sort of way. I know you can get a sponsor where your drone hub no longer needs, not a sponsor, you can get a skill when you first start the game that your drone hub no longer needs maintenance, and that would prevent a shutdown of a base. But I'm sure you've experienced yourself, if you've been playing the games, you run out of electronics, your base can very quickly shut down. All right, let's get back into it. Shuttle hub, CO2 jet propulsion. Now, in my first game I played, I never saw the shuttle hub. It randomly appeared way late in the research tree, but gee, this thing is a handy research. So the new building is a shuttle hub. It houses and refuels shuttle that facilitate long-range transport. Long range being the entire map. So here it is here. You've got one in flight and you've got one idle. Here's your
Cable
little
fault reported.
Here's your little shuttles that it will actually go around and just pick up things from all over the map. So it will go across. You don't control the shuttles; they will go and do the tasks. Some of the things I use it for is I'll actually send the rover out to get metals, drop little bases like this, and then they will just go and pick up all the metals. I find them just a game changer. Not only will they do materials, they will also transport people. So as you create jobs in one area or create housing, they will automatically move your citizens to where the supply and demand are. Now you can still manually move your citizens, but the shuttle hubs will, as long as they're in range of your dome and you've got one attached to each of your domes, they will move those as well. Now to start off with, your shuttle hubs, your shuttles will carry a maximum of 3 units or 1 citizen, but you can increase that, well, not that one, you can increase it via your high-powered jets to increase the cargo capacity by 3. So that basically doubles the cargo capacity. Within the robotics, there's a couple of other upgrades, and we'll come to those for shuttles. Extractor upgrade. Fuel extractor increases by 30% as long as the building is supplied with fuel. So that's a nice one. It just gives you a 30% buffer to your extractors. Shuttle speed, increasing your shuttle speed by 33%, a nice one. I haven't researched it yet, it's just that there's too many researchers, not enough time. Factory AI, performance increase, so it will increase all your factories by 20%. Why haven't I learnt it yet? I don't know why. I would have just had other priorities, but it will just give you a 20% increase to your electronics and your machine parts. So that I'm looking forward to that one. Rover printing. So now instead of fabricating your RC rover, your RC transport and your RC explorer, you can actually manufacture these directly from the actual planet themselves. Now at this stage I don't need any more rovers. I've been comfortable, so I haven't looked into this at this stage. I thought there had been better priorities for myself, but you may think differently. You may want a lot more rovers or a lot more transport out there. Remembering the rovers don't need power anymore, and they don't. So one thing that could potentially be handy, sometimes you would get, and I've got a great example here, where, as you can see, I've got a drone hub going here, and I've got a drone hub here, and I've got a drone hub here. So the painful bit is, and that's why I've got some metal here, is if I get a break in the power or the power line here, it won't automatically fix. So it may be worth getting yourself a drone rover, putting just 2 drones on it and just parking it there. It doesn't need power, and it would stop you, and it doesn't need maintenance. So it may be a good substitute rather than spending a lot of money in building another drone hub, which is going to cost 8 electronics and 7 metal, not worried about the metal, and it consumes 3 power, and it always requires maintenance. It may be worth just putting a drone rover there, and then you'll plug that gap. There's food for thought. Moving along, your compact hangars. So obviously this one actually increases your shuttle hubs by 4. I haven't done this one yet because I haven't found my shuttles are at capacity, but I could definitely potentially increase those. Now you're using polymers and electronics, I think, for your shuttles. Let me just check that. To actually produce one, you're actually using 3 electronics and 5 polymers. So they're not cheap to make, and they personally do not need maintenance themselves, only the shuttle hub requires the maintenance and fuel. So that's something to certainly keep in mind. Moving along, another Spire. So this one's the network node. So increases the research output of all the research labs and science institutes within the dome. So if you're considering having a research dome, and that's what I'm doing now. So what I've started to set up is let's say a breeding dome, probably not the right words for it, but a dome that literally has all the nurseries, it has the schools, it has the universities, it has the sanitarium, it has all the increased in the perks. So it means that all my Martian born now, as soon as they're kids, go to boarding school, effectively in a dome, and they will come out with good perks and everything's good. So another one would be potentially moving all my research centres to one dome, and then maybe using this Spire so we can get a bonus rather than sort of having research spread out between a number of domes. So that is something that I will consider once we look at where we're going to continue with our research. Coming to the last three, advanced shuttles, it doubles the capacity of your current shuttle. So a nice one to have. And I do have it, which means that you're carrying 6 cubes rather than just the 3. And then the last two are wonders. So this one, the Molehole Mine, or Project Molehole, extracts metals, rare metals and waste rock without the need of a deposit. I haven't built it yet. I've had some friends tell me it's amazing. So you do not need to have a resource. You literally just park it outside your dome, and it will extract both metals and rare metals and rock, which can be turned into concrete, and it will just build it. Clearly it takes a lot of machine parts to make, not a lot of metal and concrete, so it's just the machine parts, but it's infinite. So once you build one, then you don't have to worry about it running out. So potentially late game, now where we're getting into the larger domes, here where I've got a lot of water but I've got no metals, I could just put it there with a couple of these mole holes and make sure that I've got sufficient water going into the dome. All right, and the last one, just scrolling to the right, the last one is an excavator. So produces concrete directly from the Martian soil without requiring the use of a deposit. So very similar to your mole hole, but this one is only on concrete. That being said, although I haven't researched both of these, I would probably favour this one that would still produce waste rock, and the waste rock I can convert to concrete, right? And it requires 300 metal and 60 metal and 300 machine parts, versus this one that needs 180 metal and 200, and it only does the concrete. I'm not starving for concrete at the moment. I think I did maybe show it in this video or a previous video. You know what, at 2,430 concrete, it's not what I urgently need at the moment. Maybe a little bit later in the game, I may be a little bit shorter, but we'll see how we go. But I will go for a mole hole. I'll probably build that within the next couple of days as I keep on expanding my Martian colony. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching the video. As I said, in this video, we just covered the robotics research tree. Hopefully you got something out of it. Don't forget to leave the comments if you need any more help or explanation on anything within this research tree or any of the others. Hit the like and hit the subscribe if you'd like to see more of Surviving Mars or any other episodes I do. So good luck, good gaming, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.